Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. I am back again with part 2 of our series. It's called How to Get Started Effectively as a Wholesaler. And I think you guys have pretty much got a pretty big dosage in round 1 of some things that you can do to help yourself hit the ground running and effectively begin to affect the wholesale real estate industry. Again, this is session 2. This is Jimmie Williams, your mentor, trainer, whatever you want to call me. I'm actually a student of the game of real estate as well. So your fellow student, because we all learn together. And I'm back again with another informative video. And this is part 2. Okay. Just like you, I have people that have poured into me, or I went out of my way to find guys, men and women both, to share with me some of the secrets or some of the strategies. I don't like to use that word secret because it's really not a secret when you seek it out. You begin to find things when you don't know things. But I begin to seek out several mentors in different markets, different parts of real estate, and I begin to build pretty much gather myself a great amount of mentors. I currently have about 15 of them, but my top 3 are the ones that have affected my life the most. But I begin to glean from them, pardon me, and listen to what they had to say when it came to how to get myself started effectively as a real estate wholesaler. Everything that they told me, I tried my best to write it down or make a mental note of it so that I didn't make the same mistakes that they did. Okay, and I wanted to circumvent time. That's the most important part of getting a video series like this, or listening to someone, like me, who made a ton of mistakes. Even though I had mentors, I still made a lot of mistakes. And so the more you get, when you find a property or something you want to buy or sell, find a way to make that product or that property attractive and find a way to sell it and make a profit on it as quickly as possible. That's what you want to do. We're in the business to make money, okay? And when you have the right tools, the right strategies, and you're in position to do that, then you're going to find out it's a lot easier to do. All right. And that's what I'm here to help you with, to be effective and hopefully get your first deal done, over the next couple of days, weeks, or months, or however long it takes, as long as you begin to produce. That's the key, to produce. Okay. We don't want it to take months, of course, but it's going to take some information and some knowledge and some understanding. And then you have to apply what you've heard and learned into action so you can get the results you desire. So on that note, let's get started. Here's what I highly recommend. If you've not seen video number 1, I'm not talking about the introductory video where I came on and showed my face and my wife's face. You saw us. I'm talking about the video that's about an hour long, hour and 10 minutes, whatever it is. Go look at that video, part 1, first, okay? Because part 2 it's going to be a little more advanced, and I'm going to dig into some other areas. And if you haven't heard part 1, it's not going to make much sense to do part 2. Now, you can listen to it however you want to, but I'm recommending do one before the other. That's how I like to teach. You're going to find me repeating things quite a bit because, as I said in one of my other videos, repetition is one of the greatest ways to learn. A lot of people learn that way. Most of us learn through repetition. A very few can hear it one time and have what we call a photogenic or photostatic memory, where they can just regurgitate everything that they heard. Most of us have to hear it 4, 5, and 6 times. In fact, if you're trying to do a business deal, depending on what the deal is, even in real estate, sometimes they have to see that offer come to them 4, 5, or 6, or 7 times before they bite on it. Some buyers are like that. Very few times they'll jump on it when they first see it, unless it's a tremendously great deal. So we learn by repetition, okay? Now, let's get started here. All right, so number 4, finding off-market property to wholesale. All right, that's a very important part of what we do, because if we don't have product to sell, I say product because the property is the product, right? We cannot make a profit, but we have to find a way to effectively find good wholesale property, and you got to find it at the right time, not when everyone else has been looking at it and everybody else is, nobody wants to buy it, wants to use it, because that means it's not a good deal. You want to get it in the beginning and get a head start on some of the competition. Again, the key is to beat the competition. all right, and provide something that's better than what they're providing. So number one, or should I say letter A, the best way to find, this is my opinion, but I found it to be true, to find good off-market wholesale property is ask your mentors. Just ask them. Okay, once you've built that relationship with them, they usually have the best off-market deals available because they're dealing directly with the seller, and generally they have the properties under contract. So if it's not a multifamily, if it's a single family or something like that, or a duplex, they have found a way to contact the buyer, and they got a good deal. They got a good wholesale deal. They put it under contract. And what you can do as a wholesaler, since you're just becoming new to this, you're not trying to pick up the property and hold it and sell it again. You want to try to find a way to find a buyer so you guys can assign that property to a buyer and make yourself a profit of $5,000 to $10,000. Let me just give you a general scenario how that would work. Let's say you found a property and the ARV, which is the after repair value, is $100,000. That's the after repair value. You did the numbers, you did the comps, and you know your mentor or another wholesaler has this property under contract for 50 grand, for $50,000, and they come to you, or you find a way to ask your mentor, hey, do you have any properties in this area? And they give you this property that they have, and they want to move on it quickly. Well, let's say by this time you've built up yourself a list of buyers, 15, 20, 100 buyers, whatever it is, like through the methods that I showed you on the first video, Facebook or paid traffic or however you do it. And you tell them, listen, let's do a joint venture on this thing. I have a buyer. I think I can get a buyer. I have a list of buyers. Since you have it under contract, let me see if I can blast it out to my list, or I can approach my buyers and see if we can assign it to them for 65 grand. And let's say that the cost to fix it up is cosmetics, 5 grand. So basically, the person who picks it up from you guys can literally, pick it up for 65 and then put 5 in it. So they've put 70,000 into the property. They can turn around, they can flip it. They can actually put it on the market and sell it for 100 grand and make a $30,000 profit. Those are the kind of deals you find. And good mentors, the ones that are really seasoned, these are the kind of deals that they come across a lot. ARV is 100 grand. They get it for 50 or 60 or 65, somewhere in there. The higher the asking price is, then there's less meat on the bones. But in this particular situation, you guys, you got it under contract. He agrees to say, okay, Jimmie, go ahead and send me, go ahead and find us a buyer. We can assign it to them, and we can split the profits at closing. And that's generally what happens. So, and let me just show you this. This is a property that I got from a mentor. Just to give you a prime example of off-market property in the St. Pete, Pinellas County, Tampa Bay area. Okay, so this is a whole list of properties that he sent me. This is about 2 months old. I got an updated list, but I just want to show you this just so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's look at the first property here in Pinellas Park. Okay, this is the address. Sale price $137,000. That's what they're asking for. ARV $200,000. Pardon me, $210,000. Okay. Rehab $30,000. So this is a good deal, really, because if the person, basically they could pick it up for $137,000. He has it under contract for $137,000. My job is to try to flip or assign it to someone else for, let's say, $147,000 to another investor. So they buy it from us for $147,000, and they put $30,000 into it. So after they're done with everything, it's $177 grand that they've put out of pocket with it, which is a fantastic amount of money. That's a pretty good savings, really. So they put literally 40 grand into the project and turn around. They can flip it and sell it for $210. So they're going to make over, $30,000, $40,000 on that property, which is a great deal. And it's a block, a corner house, it's 1,300 square feet. This is a good deal. This is primarily what I'm talking about. So your mentors have these type of properties, these lists, because again, they've been in the game a little bit and they've learned to circumvent certain things that you haven't learned how to do. They've found a way to get their hands on good lists. Look at this. These are just good deals. And we have, off-market commercial property too. 21 units in Clearwater, $2.3 million, 3 miles away from the beach, 10% cap rate. And as I told you before in the first video, on multifamily, we typically we get paid 3 points on the back end. So we make 3 points on a deal like this, which is $60,000, $70,000. That was what we would make on a deal like this when you find a buyer. All right. So let's go back to what I was saying before. So that's the first way to do that. And let me just show you this. When you build that relationship with your mentors, there's nothing that they won't share with you because, again, you're in business together to make money. You're in business together to make money. All right. This is another property list that I got from one of my mentors. Okay. And you guys may have heard me talk a little bit about it on some of my other videos or some of my posts that's on Facebook. This list right here is an off-market auction list of properties around the country, guys. Okay, look at this. This list alone is like 7,000 properties. All right, 7,000 properties. I have another list of like 3,000 and another list of like 2,000 or 3,000. I got a total. We have a total list of about 13,000 properties. But just take this one for example here. This is a property here. The list price is $7,400. Okay, and broker fees are here. You get to see what the HOA fees are, yearly HOA fees. It tells you everything about the property. And you can actually start bidding on a property like this. It's a quick claim deed. The starting bid is $1, so it's an REO property. I've seen guys come in on a property that they were asking $7,000 for, like right here, $7,400. And they come in and they bid on it and offer $500 for it. Well, because no one else is bidding on it, they come in, they pick up a property that the ARV on this thing could be anywhere from 50 to 100 grand. Okay. And they pick it up, for $400 or $500 because no one else wants to buy it. You can see here, these starting bids here, $100, $100. See that? You come in there and if you bid, $300 and nobody else bids for it, then the auction site can choose to reject or take your offer. This is the maximum that you can buy these properties for. But look at this. If I can buy a property for $5,000 or $6,000 and flip it to another wholesaler for 15 or 20, and the property's ARV is 70 or 80 grand, everybody's going to make money. Sometimes if you go to Zillow and you look at some of the properties that they have on there, you'll find out, if you look at the properties, you'll see that previously the person who bought it before you got to it paid 8 or 9 or 10 grand for a property that's valued at 130,000. And I kept asking myself, how are they doing that? Well, there's a couple things they do. Number one, they do find a good mentor like what I have. And these mentors have access to these massive lists, across the country. And they get them on, they have someone they know with the auction company on the inside that gets them a massively great deal, especially if you buy in volume. They know someone on the inside where we can get in there, we can start bidding pennies on the dollar for property. And so they go in there, they pay cash for it on a quick claim deed. And again, I don't recommend you paying cash if you're a newbie. You want to definitely use someone else's money. You want to use a hard money lender. But if you can show the hard money lenders that the equity's there, they will give you the money to buy these properties. That's a fact. They will do that. But that's how they did it. That's how they did it. They were able to get in there and find a way to get massive lists like this and get to that property first. And so when you look at Zillow, you go, man, this property, they bought it for pennies. And that's how they did it. They turn around, they can flip it to another wholesaler. They don't have to sell it retail anymore. They can just go in there, and if they bought it for 8 grand, they can sell it for 20 grand. And everybody's still happy, and they make an $8,000 to $12,000 profit. That's how you do that, okay? Number 2, the second way you can find good property is network with your mentors or your colleagues, all right? You guys send deals to each other. I do this all the time. And this is with more seasoned guys, men and women that really know what they're doing. They're not going to send you trash. They know what I ask for as far as the ARV. I need to have the ARV where after it's fixed, it needs to be the ARV compared to the asking price. It has to be where my end buyer can turn around after he fixes up everything, can make a profit of between $20 and $40,000. $20,000, on the low end, on the high end, $40,000, and put that money in their pocket. All right. And let me just give you a good example of that. Like I just said before, if they bring me a deal, and just like I said before, it's pretty much the same model. ARV is $100,000. The property value, which is the property value after repair value, if they can get that property under contract to me for between 50 and 60 grand, it's only $5,000 to repair it, to fix up. We can walk away and make $5,000 on it, 5 or 10 grand on it, and then I get that property over to my wholesaler. When they pick it up, do everything they got to do with it, they can make $20,000 or more on the deal. It's a doable deal. It has to be anywhere from between $20,000 and $40,000 profit for them on a deal that's $100,000. On bigger deals than that, 20 to 40% ARV profitability. 20 to 40%. What I mean by that is they need to be able to make 20% on their money or more. All right. So these guys are really good, though. I mean, if you have a colleague that's really, really good at this and knows what they're doing, they're going to get you good deals all the time. Number 2, buy bank-owned property with hard money. Never use your own money. You notice I said that in both letters. Never use your own money. All right? Bank-owned property. Let me give you an example of how to do that. Just go to Google. All right? Type in buy bank-owned. I did all this ahead of time again, so to circumvent time. Buy bank-owned property. It's right there. You'll see some companies like this come up, and what you do is you just go there. I actually went to this one. I went to this company myself. HUD Foreclosed. Okay. They're really good. I signed up for a membership. I think it's $1 or something like that, a couple of dollars to do what we call, I guess it's a trial offer, the trial version. And then after that's over, they charge you, I think, $50 a month. But here you can search properties and get, homes for $10,000 is right there, $10,000 homes. So you're saving up to 50%. So what they're telling you right there is, you can get properties that are 50% loan to value. So you can find a property on here that's worth 50. Basically, it's worth 100,000, but you can buy it for 50. That's what they're talking about when they say 50%. You can buy $1 million home, and it's, and you pay $500,000 for it. It's an excellent opportunity for people who love to buy in bulk and you want to flip property. This is where you go. You go to sites like this, sign up for an account, and again, you'll start getting those lists that come to your email, and they'll show you what they have available. You can request certain areas, and every day you'll get daily updates on what's available in those areas. An amazing way to buy property, okay, to get good property. Again, never use your own money. Use hard money, because you're a beginner. You never want to get in the habit of spending your own money. If you have $1 million laying around and you don't know what to do with it, then that's a little bit different. You can buy property up and then turn around and flip it, but it's not highly recommended unless you're a multi-millionaire. You have money to do that with, okay? Number 3. Or C, I keep saying number 3. Go to Craigslist. Craigslist is your friend. Notice I put that in bold letters. And type in things like wholesale property. Let's take a look here. That's what I did here. Okay, you see that? Wholesale property and housing. This is South Florida. And look what comes up. The first thing that comes up is a property here in Jupiter. ARV 208. Pardon me, they're asking 208, ARV 295. Now, this could be a great deal. Let's just see how much does it say anything about how much is the repair cost? That's what I'm looking for. They're saying they have 2 loan programs for real estate, 30% down, no credit. So basically, they have their own financing too. But this is for people who don't have their own financing. But you can go in there with your own finance guy, your own hard money guy, and if the numbers make sense, then this is actually a good deal. This is a good deal. Because if it doesn't have, let's say it needs, and they're not saying here, I'm not seeing how much it needs. $10,000 required for deposit, pendant cash, title, hard money, hard private money loans, only buyer to complete their own due diligence. Read, okay. It's not really saying that it needs anything, any work. So if this is the case, guys, we can flip this and make some money on it, obviously. All right, we can make us a good $70,000 profit here, if these numbers are correct. So I just want to show you ways you can find property. All right. Investment property needs full rehab. Let's see. $234,000 is what they're asking for it. And sometimes you have to take this address here because they won't tell you exactly what the ARV is all the time. They're just saying cash or hard money. Obviously, the ARV is where if you can get hard money for it, then the ARV is going to be higher. It's going to be high enough to allow you to get the hard money, because most hard money companies only give you, 65 to 75% LTV, loan to value, for the property, right? So on Zillow, it's showing that it's 269. And there's a couple things you can do, and I'll go over this a little bit later, how you can find out what the property sold in the area, home value, the Zestimate. You can see what else people are spending in that area. In the last 30 days, the market value went up just a little bit. Year forecasts are saying it's going to go up quite a bit over a year. You can go to the neighborhood here with the zip code. They'll tell you what's going on as far as, how hot is the market in that region. And they're saying it's cool. It's not so bad. It's not cold, but it's cool. And you can see what people paid in the area. This is one of the, I would say, a soft way to get an idea what comps are going to look like. All right. So you see that, guys? Nearby homes. This is what you get. You get an idea of what they're doing in the area. See that? So obviously the comps are saying you just can't go by Zestimate. They're just saying what that's basically what that property is worth itself right now. Okay. And they're saying there's a pending offer on it. But if you really want to see what's the potential or how much you can actually resell it for, you would definitely need to go ahead and have more than one way to check comps. And this is just one way I'm showing you right here. All right. But this property right here can probably sell for, based on these comps here, I don't know, close to 400 grand. Look, because mostly everything here, look at this, $400,000, 403, 567, 437. On this side, they're more, you have a few, 387, 394, 570. This is a good deal. This would work. All right. And again, a little bit later on, I'm going to show you some other ways to check comps, but that's one of the things that you can do to find property. Okay. Craigslist is your friend. Don't forget that. All right. Now let's go to the next section here. Number 5, we want to show you how to connect buyers with sellers. You want to find a way to connect buyers with sellers and make the process smooth. All right. This part of business, for me, I found very challenging because, you have to build relationships. And what I'm going to ask all of you to do right now is to stop, take a minute, go back to my first video, all right, and listen to the vetting process again several times if you need to, because this section will make or break your business. And some of you might ask, why do I say that? Because we're in the business of relationships, no matter what you're doing, especially real estate. I think in one of my videos, I did say to you guys that we are real people. We're dealing with real property, real assets here. Everything about real estate is real. It's not something that you just do online. You have to do it offline. You have to meet people. You have to sign contracts. You have to work with a real title company. You have to work with real lawyers and attorneys. There's so much legal things that are involved. Real estate is super tangible. Real estate is responsible for making more millionaires in the entire world than any other niche that's out there. And it's built on relationships, okay? Relationships. I'm going to keep saying that again. It's built on relationships. The key is to build trust on the buyer side and the seller side, okay? They have to be able to trust you on the buyer side and the seller side. Here's what you do, and this is what I found that works for me. If you're a newbie and you're not someone who's been experienced, you don't have a clientele yet, or you don't have a resume, a real estate resume, which would be the people you've worked with, people they can call, let them know that you're a newbie. tell them, hey, I'm new at this. I really need to get to, to get my feet wet. And, I want to take you on as a client. I want to find your property, or I want to sell your property, or I want to find you a buyer. Right? So it demonstrates transparency. Now, if you're not transparent with people, you might be able to fake it for a little while. Of course you can. You can fake it till you make it. But eventually, people who really have been around a little while, they're going to be able to tell that you're not being genuine with them, not authentic. Authenticity, transparency, character, integrity, those things really can't be taught. You just have to have them inbred in your system, in your spirit towards people. Because people do fake it in this industry. I hate to say it that way, but they do. But the most successful ones, and the ones that are going to really make those big deals, those big sales, are the ones that are transparent. And again, if you're experienced, it's a different story. You can give them references. Let your clients, speak well of you. You ever heard the old saying, let someone else tell us how good you are. You don't do it yourself. That's the power of having testimonials, videos that show that people have bought from you, or have, they're happy with the service you provide. That's the best way to really build your credibility. But in the beginning, if you don't have all those things, then you're going to have some issues. You're going to have some problems. So, and that was one of the things that one of my mentors did to make millions of dollars as a wholesaler with multifamily. That I told you guys on the first video that one of the mentors that I'm going to go back to the big property that he sold up in, I think it was in Chicago. It was a $100 million deal with a Marriott hotel, one of those cities. And he had to build relationship with the seller. The seller had to get to trust him. The deal took a couple of months because the seller had to trust him that he really had a buyer. And because he with his vetting process, he didn't just put buyer connected with seller. The buyers had to prove themselves by submitting a real POF, hard POF. They had to be able to update their POS every single month until he found them the deal they were looking for. So he didn't immediately put them together. He kept them separate until, first of all, he got all of his paperwork signed, and he did the proper vetting process to make sure he was dealing with the actual seller and the actual buyer. This can take some time. But when you do that, your job is going to be that much easier, because when they connect, because they trust you, they're going to want to trust each other because they trust the person that put them together. So by the time he built that relationship, it took some time. And when it was all over, all said and done, he made, I got to type this out so you guys can see this. His profit was $1,250,000. That was his cut. Okay. That was what he made, because I think it was like 5 guys involved, but he did most of the work, and it was structured where he would make most of the commission. He made most of that commission because I think the buyer paid him 2 to 3 points total. All right. So 3 points would be $3 million, but that money was split. But his portion, his portion of that commission, his portion of 3 points, 3 points. Okay. Or 3%. Now, this is the kind of money you guys can make with multifamily, okay? So if you really want to make big money, flip multifamily is the way to go, okay? It's, it takes, here's the downside. It's not really a downside. It's just the pros, I call it the pros and cons. The good news is you can make $1 million or more on transactions. You really can. The downside is, I guess the con side is, you have to wait. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 months to close a deal this big. It took him about 3 to 5 months to close the deal. But when he closed the deal, he was set. Guys, he took his family on a major vacation. He took off months from his business, and then he took part of the money and reinvested into his business. So, not to get off track here, when you get these guys comfortable with you and they know that you're a new being, you're transparent with them, you can make millions of dollars from them on a yearly basis, because a lot of times they'll come back later and they want to do more business with you. They want to buy more property from you. The most important thing to remember in any kind of business, especially real estate, is not the first sale from your buyer, but it's the second, third, fourth, and so on. Okay? Residual sales, okay? From your buyers, from your clients. Treat them as royalty, because they are. You know, they're literally paying your, you know, for your lifestyle. So you should respect and treat them as such. All right. If you get that principle, your business is going to flourish and prosper. I'm going to go into this last section. This section here, you need to pay very close attention to it, because with what I'm going to share with you right now, you'll find out, you'll understand why most wholesalers are failing right now. This is a sad truth. 90% of the wholesalers that are out there are struggling, and they're not making a dime. They may get a deal done every now and then where they're making a couple $100 or $1,000 or $2,000, but not enough to leave their jobs. They're not making enough money where they can say, you know, I'm going to fire my boss today. I'm going to go and be a full-time entrepreneur, wholesaler / investor. They're not doing that. Excuse me, I had to take a sip of something to drink here. My mouth was a little bit dry. But pay close attention to what I'm going to share with you right now. All right, number 6. This is critical, guys. This is so critical. I can't tell you how critical this is. This is one that I live by. Next to you having a mentor to walk you through the process and give you access to resources like I shared with you before, you are really going to need to get a pen and a piece of paper and write these down, make a mental note of these, because I always say this: team means together, everyone achieves, spell that wrong, more. And that's not a joke. That's real. Together, everyone achieves more. So number 6, let's get this. Let's get right at it. Building a team of colleagues to do what you cannot do. I'm going to give you a quick story about a man that I read about. And guys, work on yourself all the time diligently. You need to be reading books, watching videos, and things that are going to enhance your thinking in the right direction. Because what I'm going to tell you now, I got it from a book, and it's not just it's a real story that I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to tell you the person's name when I'm done here. But when I learned this principle, it changed my life, and I learned it years ago. But the person who had this issue, he had a major problem, and he had to build a team around him to get out of this problem. But when I heard the story and found out who the guy was, it made perfectly sense, and I saw why he was so successful. And this particular individual, he didn't become a millionaire until he was in his 40s, okay? He was in his 40s. But he had a major problem back in the day. This was a long, long time ago. He didn't know anything. He didn't know much about law, how laws work, and how things were, laws pertaining to the products that he was trying to sell. And because he basically was an inventor. He invented a particular vehicle. And when he invented this vehicle, he had all types of legal problems. And there's certain things that he didn't know. But he was wise enough, he was smart enough to build himself a mastermind team around him. So when he went to court, they were trying to frame him so they can take his inventions, his rights from him, and literally put him in jail. They wanted to stop everything he was trying to do, because he made a mistake and he didn't really know how to fix the mistake. Because in this business, you do make mistakes sometimes, and sometimes you don't know you're making the mistakes. But if you have somebody in your team to help you out, then you can fix it. You can easily correct the mistake, so it doesn't cost you more than just that mistake that you made, and whatever happened between you and the person you made the mistake against, or the company or whatever, you don't go to jail for it. That's my point. This guy went to court and had a legal issue with something he had invented. And when they asked him the question, how do you answer to this? You know, do you know what you're doing here? He turned to the judge and turned to the attorney and he said, listen, that's why I pay this person over here to do it, because I don't know how to do it. I got him instead of me, so I'm going to let him talk. And I guess the story went, I think he pleaded the Fifth Amendment or something, but basically under oath, he didn't have to answer the question because he knew his legal rights. He knew that someone else can step in and do it for him. And that's exactly what he did. So he stepped down, and the person that he hired to do the work or to understand that particular field as it pertains to technology and patents and inventions, that person stood up there and spoke for him. And he had the legal right to do it because, you know, he was schooled in that department and knew better. And that's how this person was able to be successful and had the charges dropped, whatever happened, and they had to let him go free. Okay? And that guy's name was Henry Ford. Henry Ford, the guy who started the T model with Ford Motor Company. Henry Ford, and again, he became a millionaire when he was in his 40s, but he found along the way, you know, failure is a part of success. If you keep failing at something, you keep having downfalls, you keep having pitfalls that come, but you fall forward and you keep getting back up, keep getting back up, keep getting back up, keep pushing. But the moral of the story is he had someone when he was attacked again, you know, was tempted to just give up. He had someone in place that could do what he could not do. So he learned from his failures, and he began to build a strong team around him. And that wasn't the only guy that was on his team. He had other guys that could, you know, that were wiser when it came to you know, building the T model. People knew how to build things better than him. You know, they knew how the system of the Ford motor, how it worked, and he had guys on his team that were light years ahead of him. But my point is, he built himself a team. That's what you have to do with real estate. You cannot be, let me write this down. You cannot be, or you cannot afford to be a one-man or if you're a woman show. Who are you trying to impress? You can't do it all. If you ask guys, you know, that do this for a living full time, the billionaires, you know, the Donald Trumps of the world, ask them. I guarantee you that they're not sitting there doing everything themselves. You think Donald Trump is sitting there trying to figure out how to flip houses and how to do all the legal sides of it? He hires people to do that for him. Now, in your case, if you're just starting out, you need to find a team of here's where I'm coming toward you right now. I'm talking about you now. In the beginning, you may not have $1 million to hire someone to do, you know, the major things, to do the bigger deals. But in the beginning, it's important for you to find people that will barter, so to speak, with you. You know, you give them something, you give them something, and you work out a deal where you guys do joint ventures. So in your case, you're going to have to go out and start finding people to put on your team. What we would call it a mastermind team, okay? Mastermind real estate team. If you do this properly, you're going to find yourself ahead of the crowd. You really want to beat the crowd at what you're doing, you got to get yourself a mastermind team. One of the first things you're going to need is find a good real estate attorney you can call for legal advice from time to time. This is why this is so important, because there are people in every industry that's always looking for an opportunity to sue or to come against you or file something legal. You have some, and that's the truth. There are some deadbeat people out there. All they look for is an opportunity to make money from someone else. They don't want to work for it. They're not honest. You know, they're not trustworthy. And the minute you slip and you do something wrong that you know, you're not even aware of it. You sign a contract wrong, or, you know, you act as if you are a real estate agent. There's certain laws that you can't do that. You know, if you're not a licensed realtor or an agent, you can't go around saying that you're one. There's certain things, the way you write up contracts, there's certain things that you can say and certain things you can't say. To give you a scenario, I have this one guy that I work with in Jacksonville, Florida, very good investor slash realtor. But I brought him a deal one time, and he told me he had the property under contract. So I said, listen, I have another investor that I want you to, if you could assign it to that person, and could you allow me, could you assign the contract to me and then have me assign it to that person? This is when I first got started. So I wanted to have him assign it to me and then have me assign it to the investor. And he said, no, you can't do that. He said, what I can do is if you assign it to your investor, have him work with me directly, then whatever we assign it to him for, at the closing, I will write you a check for the difference. And I have to write that check a certain way. I have to write it saying that you were a marketing person. You did some marketing for me and I paid you a fee for that. He said, because you can't do what you're trying to do, Jimmie. It's illegal. And thank God he was nice enough to share with me and tell me, you can't do those things. You can't go that route. Because some guys will let you do something, or you start signing paperwork, you start doing things you're not supposed to be doing, and guess what happens? You find out at the end that you did something that's by the book is wrong, and it's too late now. There's a lawsuit filed. So I have someone that I work with too. This person's an attorney, and she understands real estate law. What you cannot do is what you can do in the state of Georgia, where I am currently now. But I recommend you find someone. You can Google them, or you can go to Craigslist and find them. Some of them are investor friendly. They're investor friendly. They really want to work with investors. So they'll tell you, listen, let's try to write that down so you see that. They'll say, let's try to do some kind of joint venture together, and don't worry about paying me right now. Let's work out something like, when you get deals done and you need me to help you with something, then just cut me a small commission check. There are people out there that will do that. You can pick up the phone and talk to them. They're up and coming in the real estate game, but they understand real estate law and they want to work with investors. And this particular person, I've called her several times, and she's never really charged me anything. She just told me, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And all I'm going to ask you to do is just refer people to them, refer clients to them. If you're willing to refer clients to them and keep their business going, they can work something out. But this person is critical to your business. I put this person at the top because, we're finding a lot of people getting sued for nothing. Okay, and this can be avoided. Number 2, find a contractor that will I think I made a mistake here. That will view, I'll take a look here. That will view the property within 24 to 48 hours and will give you a good estimate. So let's say a deal pops in your lap, or you find that deal, and let's say it's in Dallas, Texas. I have a whole team of people in Dallas, Texas, guys. Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas is hot right now, super, super hot. So what do you think I did? I built me an entire team. Even though I'm here in Georgia, I have a team of investors, contractors. I have guys that I have a realtor there that gives me good comps. But this particular situation, I had a good deal that came across the table in that area. And, those Dallas deals, they're here for 1 second and they're gone the next second. So what you got to do is you got to say, hey, I like that property. When can we have access? And then the next phone call you make, as soon as they give you the lockbox code, you go have your contractor, if you're in another state and you can't get there, have your contractor go there, take that go in there, give them lockbox code, have them go in there and view that property and say, hey, Jimmie, boom, 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 it's going to need $15,000 worth of work. We can knock it out in X amount of time. That's what you need, guys. Find yourself a good contractor. Again, you can use Facebook. Facebook groups are good for this. You can find contractors on certain groups. The big group that we're all in right now, a lot of us are in, is Cash Buyers. They have a lot of good contractors in there. Again, Craigslist is your friend. Find investor-friendly contractors. Have them go out there, because when you start scaling your business, you start wanting to do multiple properties, 5 and 10 a month. You're going to need contractors that can jump on it quickly. They have a big enough team where even if they're busy, they can assign someone to go and look at that property and say, hey, this property needs a new roof. The flooring is not that good. It needs X amount of dollars to get the plumbing done. It needs tile or whatever. It needs some landscaping on the out. They can tell you within, a half an hour, once they look at the property, what it's going to cost you. All right. Again, you don't have to know how to do this stuff, but you need people on your team that know how to do it. Number 3, find someone who's diligent at getting comps. There's several things you can do. I talked about comps earlier, and they should be using several sources. Okay, so find someone who will take the time when deals come in all the time to take the time and use all the resources to get good comps. You just can't use one source. So let me just tell you what I do, all right? So look at Zillow. I kind of went over this before with Zillow. Look at the Zestimate history and the details. Houses that are sold in the area, all right? Let's do that again real quick. So I had this property right here last month that my partner and I was looking at. We got a POF on it, all right? For 500 grand. It was worth, I think the ARV is a little over 400 grand, but they were asking 300 and something thousand for it. And here it is right here. Let's just go back here. Actually, no, that's another property. That's something else. That's not what I wanted to show you guys. Let's just put it here. Copy and paste it, go to Zillow. All right. And you'll see this property is off market. It looks like it's a really good property as well. We go down here, we see some more features about the property. It'll tell you this, some more details that you might need to know. It's all easy stuff there. But a little bit before, you go where it says estimate, you can see where the market is going the last 30 days. It declined, see that? It declined 10%. So that would concern me a little bit, right? You click on that, you'll see comparable homes. You can go and see what's sold there. This is a good idea. This is not the only thing you should do. This is just one method. You'll see what's sold. You'll see how long ago it sold. This sold. Now the only problem with this is if you really look here, this is almost 6 months ago here. We're in September. This is February, March, 2017, March. This was more recent. This was June. So the ones that you see June, these are the ones we want to go by, June, because the last what, 6 months is what's really good with comps. This one's not good. So we can see it's still in the mid threes, or early threes. So if they're asking 332, we got to make sure that we still got to do some more research and some more due diligence. Okay, so that's one way to look at the comps. And basically what I'm seeing so far, I'm not convinced if I'm going to buy this as a wholesaler. I'm not too convinced, right? Another method you're going to use is have a realtor do a CMA. Highly recommended, okay? They can go on there, and the CMA means comparative market analysis, pardon me. Comparative market analysis. It means an examination of the prices guys, my tongue is twisted here. Let me just start over again here. A little bit hungry too. Comparative market analysis is an examination of the prices at which similar properties in the same area recently sold. Real estate agents perform comparative CMA for their clients to help them determine a price to list when selling a home or price to offer when buying a home. That's what it is. So let me show you what one really looks like. And this is a real deal that I actually had a month and a half ago. This deal came to me. It's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, North Lauderdale, okay? This is the address here. And here's the CMA. You get to see what's sold, within a third of a mile. You see that? Fourth of a mile. This is really, really close. And it breaks down other things like, cost per square footage. See, $114 per square foot. That's important. All these numbers here, okay? And people that are school in real estate, they understand these numbers. They know what they mean. Renovation, $63,000. All right? All these numbers are important. But the big one that I really like is the ARV. This is the most important number. All right? All this means nothing if this number is not on. But people who are schooled in the industry know what this is here: 3-bedroom, 2-bath, square footage, and all that good stuff. But this is what a CMA looks like. And find someone that can do this. All right, find someone that can do this. A realtor that's investor friendly. This is something else that I use as well. Let me show you this really quick. It's something called REI/kit. This is the actual website right here. I'll leave this up. Just pause and write that down and go look at it. I'll show you what it looks like. All right. Here it is right here. And you come in there, you put the address in there, you'll take a look and see what's sold in the area. It'll tell you. Sometimes these are older too. This is just another form. Sometimes the comps here are pretty old, but it gives you a general idea of what, see that? It's showing me here 320. It's not showing me anything more. It's not, basically what I'm saying is this deal is turning out now not to be a really good deal. Just looking at the numbers. Okay, this is fairly new here. This is a few months ago. This is old. This is old. But as you can see, I'm not really happy with the offer. It's not enough in there for not enough meat on the bones for me to take it and flip it to a client. All right. So have somebody that can do that. This person right here who can get you good comps can make and break your deals. You have to find someone that can do that. Sometimes these comps can be outdated. That's why I recommend 4 or 5 different sources. These websites can be outdated. Sometimes they're not really up to date. So the CMA will probably be your best bet. They can go in there live and see what's sold in the last 3 months, 2 months, and it's up to date. It's accurate. All right. Well, I keep saying numbers here, but I want to say the letter D. Okay? Bring on someone who is good at negotiating and setting up conference calls. Someone who's good with people. It's critical for scaling your business. When I say scale, I mean, if you got 4 or 5 people on your team, you want to be doing 4 or 5 deals a month, not 1 deal a month, because you're splitting your commission with sometimes 4 and 5 people. So let's just say you're flipping the average flip. I would say from if you get that, not flip, pardon me, the average assignment fee that you can make, I would say, is between 5 and 10 grand. Again, let's go back to the scenario again of the property being valued, the ARV 100 grand. You pick your partner picks it up, or the person who has it under contract has it for 50 grand. You need to assign it to a buyer for 60, so you make 10 grand. Well, if you have 5 people on your team, you guys at closing, you're only going to make $2,000 a piece. If you're doing it by yourself, you'll make to $10,000. But again, if you don't have people on your team that can do things that you can't do, then you're going to find it hard to scale, and you're going to find it harder to make that 10 grand as opposed to making 2,000. So you have to find someone who's good at conference calls and putting people together, so you can close deals quickly. The guy who does most of the talking, setting the deals up. Because you need to be doing 5 deals a month to make that same $10,000, not 1 deal a month. So you got to find somebody that can do that, okay? And there's ways to do that. You can put an ad on Craigslist and say, hey, listen, pardon me, I need someone in the real estate industry who's good at negotiating, willing to do a joint venture. That's what you say on Facebook, or, you can do it on Twitter or YouTube, but most effectively on Craigslist. You'll get faster results with them, all right? Finding a good title company, critical, because what you can do is you can control the deal. Listen, you can control the deal. Escrow, closing date, and payouts, etc. You always want to be in control. You can't always be in control on every single deal, but you would like to set it up where you're in control as much as you possibly can be. Sometimes you have to close with their title company. Sometimes you can't close with your own. But if you can, when it comes to dealing with the money, having to put money in escrow, setting a date to close fast, all these things are critical. And payouts, when people get this is the most important part here, how we all get paid, right? The paychecks, right? And when you do this, I'll tell you what will happen. The people that close with you and they use your title company, you'll begin to build more credibility, and they'll begin to trust you and your title company, because they'll go back and tell their friends, these guys, their title company, they don't play. They make sure everybody gets paid. They close fast. And there's no shady business going on with escrow. We've heard of scams with escrow. People get, you put money in an escrow account that you don't have access to, or there's there's a lot of scams out there where they actually, you put that money in escrow and that money gets moved around somewhere else. So basically the escrow account was not legitimate, and that can't happen. And that can't happen. Okay, F. Finding a foot soldier. Now, finding a foot soldier, some people call them bird dogs. You know, I have a software out, it's called the Bird Dog Bot. And, you know, it finds deals for you. It finds deals for you. And, hold on just a second, guys. Sorry about that. It finds deals for you, okay? But that's not the same thing as having a foot soldier who's there physically. I have a foot soldier in the Orlando area. He goes out, he just finds property, he knocks on doors, talks to clients face to face, and tries to get the best deals possible. And all I do is we joint venture. I have a list of buyers of maybe 500 people in Florida. He puts he has them put a lot. He asks them, hey, can I put the property under contract under our LLC? And what I do is I blast it to my list. You know, because I look for, once they give us once we get a CMA, good pictures, good comps, a good offer, I blast it to my list, to my buyers list, and I get an answer within 20 minutes of someone who says, you know what, let's take a look at this property. And it makes my job so much easier because I'm not there in Florida with him, but I network with him and we just split the commission checks, and whatever we assign it to the other person for, we make that money in the middle. We try to make $10,000 to $15,000 together per deal to make it worth our time. All right. And last but not least, you need a good marketing manager, someone who knows how to drive traffic to your website or your social media and can gather leads of buyers and sellers consistently. I think I spelled that wrong. Consistently. And here's why. Anyone in marketing knows that if you have a real successful business, doesn't matter how successful it is, you always have an inflow of people coming in and an outflow of people leaving. Generally, depending on how many emails you blast out, my email list, like I said before, is about 2,300 people combined, and I lose about 30 to 40 subscribers per month. So what do I need to do to compensate for that? I'll need to have someone who can bring me double that amount coming back. I need to go out and I need to bring in, you know, close to 100 people per month so that I see a continual growth of 40 to 50 prospects per month. If I really want to scale it, I need to do some serious advertising and marketing so I can see, you know, hundreds of people come in per month. When I first started building my list, I was bringing in 300 and 400 subscribers per month. I slowed down now because now that I have a quality, my business has grown. The demand is not that I don't have to work as hard anymore. And as I said before, when you stabilize your business and get a good foundation, you don't have to work as hard. So my point is, find someone who can do this. You know, I do it all the time. I do it for my business and a couple of the companies that I have because I understand marketing. Go to YouTube, make yourself you don't have to have a video showing your face, but put out some video content. If you have to hire someone and say, you know, you guys are in need of a marketer. There's certain places you can go and pay $50 to have a professional video done and get the word out. And when you get that video, blast it on all your platforms, you know, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Go to Craigslist and ask Craigslist to find a guy that does this. Is probably going to be a little more pricier because of the type of niche it is. But you need someone on your team that can do that. It's going to make you thousands of dollars monthly. It's going to mean to you, this could personally mean 10 to 20 deals per month. Because remember, when you have good subscribers, good buyers, and you have good product, and you got, you know, when I say product, I mean property, to put in front of them, they're going to want to buy. But if you don't have enough people coming in your network, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Critical stuff. What you need to do now, guys, because I'm wrapping up here, is go and review this again. Go watch it again. Take your time. Watch it. Here's something else I recommend. Watch it with someone else. Have them look at this too. You can send it to someone else. Even though you're paying for the course, you can send them this and say, listen, you guys, if you want to be a part of my team, I need you to listen to what this guy is saying and get the same mindset. because you guys have to have the same mindset to do this. Everyone in this group has to be on the same page. You may not talk to everybody every day, but this mastermind team right here, you guys have to be on the same page. So if you have to send this to them and have them listen to this, I highly recommend that you do that. With that being said, that concludes my session. I hope this is very informative for you and your family. And when I say family, I mean, your physical family at home, because the minute you get this, it's going to help your family eat better. You're going to make money. You're going to negotiate good business deals where, financially, the next time you talk to me or you contact me on Facebook, you'll say, Jimmie, I closed my first deal. That's what I want to hear. My next video is going to be how to close your first deal within 60 days or less. How to close your first deal within 60 days or less. And I'll take you step by step by the hand and show you how to do that. Thank you for subscribing. And I'm asking you to make it a great day. If you have any questions or comments, please inbox me on Facebook or contact me personally. You guys, most of you have my personal information. And I will see you at the top. Take care. Bye-bye.